Okay, I'm going to give 2 big pointers right now that's going to help anyone who feels like they're in a rut, who has low motivation, low energy, or just no drive. Okay, so 2 basic things. They don't require diet or exercise, although that's also extremely helpful. Basically, you want to make sure you're getting sunlight in the day, preferably within the first 2 hours of waking up. Now, here's why. So you need to make sure your body is aligned, your internal biological clock is aligned with that of the sun and the night. So in sync with the actual circadian cycle, the 24-hour cycle. And starting your morning with early morning sunlight within the first 2 hours of waking up really helps your body to just set that clock, right? You're setting the clock. Your body is pretty happy because it's following the cycle that it's meant to be on, such as our ancestors, such as what the animals use. We weren't meant to always be relying on artificial light. And in fact, our neurotransmitters, such as dopamine and serotonin, rely heavily on the amount of light our bodies, or rather our retina of the eye, is intaking from outside. So you want your dopamine level to be high in the morning when you wake up. Okay, you need the drive. It's also sometimes inclusive of a little bit of anxiety to get up, get going for the day, and do what you need to do, right? So if, with that in mind, the sunlight is going to increase dopamine levels in the morning, which is exactly what you want. And then as you get closer towards the evening, when the sun goes down, the effect likewise on your body is to increase serotonin and to decrease dopamine. Now, the really interesting thing about this is thinking it from the standpoint of, well, I always think about this from the standpoint of school. Math is great to be done in the morning because of the dopamine, and dopamine's something that's usually goes hand in hand with math skills. And serotonin, I remember in school, I used to always, for some reason, write the best papers late at night. Not good, I know, but for some reason, in terms of creativity or even artwork. Well, interestingly enough, I also happen to be waking up at the appropriate times in school too. I'm referring to high school, not college. And interestingly enough, I found my creativity spiked at night, which is also when, in terms of, looking back on it, that's where my serotonin was the highest. And serotonin is more linked with the creativity, the winding down. It's a certain wavelength that you're in, that your brain's in. So it's very, very interesting. And also serotonin is what enables you to relax and then eventually fall asleep. So here's the thing. Dopamine increases with sunlight, decreases in the dark, and likewise melatonin, which I'm sure everyone knows, it's necessary for sleep. It is a hormone. People also can take it in capsule form. Melatonin actually increases in the dark and immediately decreases in the light. So it's really crucial between 10 p.m. and 4 a.m., roughly, so to speak, those hours, you really want to make sure you're at least, and it could be longer if you sleep until 7, whatever, but at least getting no light. If you want your body to be functioning at its true optimal level, in sync with the circadian cycle, and there's more to this than what I'm saying, then you need to follow at least that schedule. And if you're not per se sleeping at that time, have the lights dim, or if not completely go dark, roughly within that time frame. And obviously, the closer you can get to bed within that time frame, the better. Because what happens is how your sleep is the previous night is how your dopamine is affected the next morning. And the following day even more so. So it's this accrual of your circadian cycle affecting your dopamine regulation. And when that's off or depleted, the whole thing, your whole day can be a mess. Your hormones get messed up. The cellular level, the circadian cycle within your actual cells can get messed up when your body's not in sync with the light and night pattern of the world, of outside. And that can disrupt many things, as I mentioned, hormone level, but also oxidative stress. That's certainly something that can typically cause things like hypertension, heart disease, chronic illness, autoimmune, all of those things, high inflammation, early aging, Alzheimer's, all happen when your cells, so not just like your brain, like the actual cells within your body, each individual cell has a 24-hour cycle. So everything really needs to be in sync if you want to be working and functioning at your optimal level. So again, morning sunlight, shut out the lights between 10 p.m. and 4 a.m., or at least around that time frame. And to go back briefly, in terms of why early morning sunlight. So a lot of people don't realize that other than, making you feel awake and happier because of the vitamin D, the sunlight, as opposed to artificial light, even if it's LED, the sunlight by far surpasses it. The sunlight actually activates MSH, melanosin stimulating hormone, sends a signal to part of your brain without getting too into this and keeping it at a reasonable level here. And that activation enables your body to stay on a schedule of eating whereby, you're not hungry all the time. It's sort of, it keeps in check your satiety signaling, right? So you're not going to be eating all day long or need to eat all day long, or you'll eat and you'll know when to stop. So it keeps everything in check. And a lot of times not a lot of times, a lot of people, their weight, their BMI is lower when they're actually following a good sleep schedule, a good exercise schedule, being outside. So two basic, simple things. I cannot recommend them any more than I already have. I mean, I strongly believe in it. I heard this from some really well-known neuroscientists and psychiatrists, and I've implemented it into my own day and night schedule. And especially with the spring, I'm so stoked because I'm able to go outside and go on walks again because I live in New England. And, the first thing I have to say about that is, it's very easy to talk about how much you can't go on walks because you're in the winter time. And I said that too, because there's certainly days where it was just unmanageable, unbearable for me to go out. But then, I did have to be able to make that switch and go, okay, now it's nice weather, because you can get comfortable in that schedule. And with anything, right? Whether it's eating healthy or eating unhealthy. So you have to first take that leap, but a great way to actually make sure you take the leap, to be motivated, to be open-minded, to have the energy, making sure your sleep schedule is in sync with the circadian cycle, your circadian internal biological clock with outside. And that that enables you to have the motivation and the drive to then go, you know what? I woke up today. I'm alert now. And I know it's probably a good thing to go outside and get some sunlight. It's going to improve my mood. It's going to ultimately improve my sleep at the end of the day, my productivity level, and keep my weight in check. I mean, it's something free, guys. I know we're always talking about supplements. We're always talking about what we eat, which I will definitely get into that another time, but it's free, it's accessible. And even so, when you think it's an overcast day, it's still been shown this is beneficial. Oh, and I forgot to say, you want at least 15 minutes. Never look right at the sun. I'm hoping that's something that we know, but never look right at the sun. And certainly if you're having issues where your eyes are hurting, put on sunglasses. Ideally, you want a little time without the sunglasses on, but, you don't have to be in a super bright under, the sun for that. You can be in a shady area, but you do want some time where your eyes are just able to look without any of the UV protection, just to enable the rays of the sun to hit the back of the retina. And then that in turn goes into everything I was speaking about with the satiety signaling and keeping your hormone and melatonin levels in check. Okay, I hope that was somewhat of a good summary and not too lengthy, but check it out, try it out, and let me know. I think you're only going to have great results.